The Prime Minister says, I am weak in doing this. Is he going to reverse this cowardly decision? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the government is investing in Canadian culture, in Francophone culture, in Quebec culture. They are pillars of our identity. We have more than made whole the cultural sector with the decision taken today. And in the budget that the Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly was against, we have invested $750 million in the cultural sector.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
My question for the Prime Minister is about the human cost of Canada being the only G20 country in the recession. Zara from Toronto lost her administrative job at a real estate business. She can't find a new job and now has to sleep on a friend's couch. What's the Prime Minister going to tell her if he cares enough to stand up and answer? Is he going to tell her that she's just technically homeless and technically jobless?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to wish the Chief of the Opposition, Leader of the Opposition, a happy birthday. I hope his day improves. The government is focused on building a stronger economy. We recognize the scale of the challenges that this country is facing from abroad. We are focused on that administrator. We are focused on farmers in Battle River Crowfoot. We are focused on a future that is stronger, durable, more independent, more resilient, more sustainable.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
But this is not a joke. This is a woman's life. This Prime Minister gave us the only recession in the G20, and he stands up and starts joking about her state of affairs. She's sleeping on someone's couch, Mr. Speaker. Will the Prime Minister stop being so flippant about the suffering that he's caused in the lives of Canadians and tell Zara, is her homelessness and joblessness just a technicality?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Well, thanks, Mr. Speaker. And you know what's not a joke? When you lose your job and there's nothing there to catch you. And yet if these Conservative members had their way, that's exactly what would have been facing Zara. In fact, they voted against the very measures that we put into place to protect people like Zara.
We really can't hear now. So not from the top, but the Minister may continue, but let's have a little more quiet so we can hear what the Minister has to say.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What I find a joke is that when this government steps up, not only to lay the foundation of prosperity for the future, but to protect people like Zara by putting into place things like modernized employment insurance, which they routinely laugh about, they vote against those measures, Mr. Speaker, time and
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the question is for the Prime Minister about the real human cost of Canada being the only country in the G7 and in the G20 that is in a recession. Brad from Ontario wrote me to say that his family hung on during the Trudeau years, but since this Liberal Prime Minister has taken over, he's now at risk of losing everything. He sold the home and had to get rid of all of the savings he had accumulated for his retirement. Will the Prime Minister have the decency to stand up, look Brad in the eye, and tell Brad, are we in a technical recession or a real recession?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I speak to a lot of people like Brad in my own riding of Gatineau, and what they ask me is why such apparent glee on the part of the Leader of the Opposition and his troops when they march in here. Canada faces some economic headwinds from an unprovoked trade war, blame Canada.
That's right.
Canada faces economic headwinds from a war in the Middle East. Blame Canada. People cannot help but notice the Leader of the Opposition and his entire bench walk in here with glee when Canada faces.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, when there's only one country in the G20 that faces a recession, while all the other countries face the same wars and tariffs, then we know that it's appropriate to blame this Liberal government. And I can assure you, he talks about glee. Jacqueline has no glee. She actually had to put her dog down because she can't afford the veterinary bills along with the inflation